Half-time, no further changes in Newcastle's case. Of course, they were forced into that early one when Joe Willock, who scored the very early goal, had to be taken off and replaced by Bruno Guimaraes. So the Newcastle team, altered by one, gets the second half underway, having not really built on that lead. They failed to press home their advantage, and that, Alan, will have been a concern for Eddie Howe at half-time.
Yeah, I think so. You would expect to see them step it up a little bit. I mean, it's a bigger deal for Newcastle, this competition, than it is for Forest, there's no doubt about that. But the way the home team reacted to going an early goal down, it was really good.
Both these teams hoping to be part of the 32 that will go into the third round draw, which comes up later. A little bit of a different draw to normal, with the 6 teams competing in the Champions League and Europa League kept separate, but you'll see that draw live with us after this match. Nuno's first game in this competition with Nottingham Forest, and so far not going the way that he would have wanted, or the way that it has gone in recent history between the two in the competition. Forest have prevailed on the last 2 occasions that they've met, on both occasions at this stage of the competition as well. There's Kraft. Alex Moreno, who's faced Forest twice during his Aston Villa career, but hadn't played here. Both of the matches had been at home. Here's Elliot Anderson. Almiron making life difficult for him. He's sat down and being helped up. The attempt to help him up was by his former colleague. I think Almiron's had a longer standing issue.
Yeah, the Isak one was just an innocent-looking challenge with Anderson, and yeah, it comes down on his boot. Certainly don't want to lose this fellow. He's a classy centre forward.
They're already without Callum Wilson, who they're hoping will be available again after the international break. Isak's goals would certainly be a big miss, although he's yet to score one this season. Scored on the final day of last season at Brentford. He hasn't gone more than 2 club matches without a goal since February. To get the winner against Manchester City in this competition last season on his only previous start in it. Certainly Newcastle do things the hard way in this competition. They had to see off City and United before finally losing to Chelsea last season on a bit of a nightmare night for Kieran Trippier, when he missed a penalty in the shootout, having been culpable for Chelsea's late equaliser in the game itself. Held in by Moreno, and Jota! That is a thumping finish to mark his home debut, and look how delighted he is! Forest recover from the early body blow in the first half to strike one of their own in the second.
And what a strike it was! What a strike it was! He's been probably the standout player for Nottingham Forest. I think the fans are going to like this fella. They've passed up the opportunity once or twice to toss it into the box like this. It's just a loose ball. And he swings a leg. Sometimes these can sail high and wide. That is top bins. Eat your heart out, Jack Grealish, I tell you. What a finish. And what they put into this match since going a goal down, you feel they deserve it.
Well, his home debut, his first start, straight over to Anthony Elanga and the other substitutes to celebrate that goal. Jota Silva. Really kick-starts his Forest career. With the briefest glimpses of him at the weekend, but on his first start, what a powerful way to introduce himself to this home crowd.
He's the one player out there that doesn't normally line up in the first team that would have made Nuno think carefully about what he's going to do at the weekend.
Here's Joe Linton. Newcastle paying the price for not really building on what they achieved so early in the first half. And there was always a danger for them that this might happen, because Forest grew into the game. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. Barnes. And Jota Silva stopped that time by Bruno Guimaraes. And it's a booking for him.
Oh, is he booked in for brandishing the imaginary card? Seems to be what the ref's saying. That's certainly a foul, which normally does get a booking. And that's why he got a booking. He got away with it, yeah. Oh, he did get booked. He did get booked.
Down dramatically, but caught by Abbott, and we're going through that phase now. A yellow card for the youngster.
Yeah, he's never going to get goal side, was he? Young Zach Abbott there. Had to take one for the team.
16 years of age when he made a late substitute appearance in a win at Grimsby in this competition 2 years ago. Abbott putting himself on his full debut for Forest tonight. Trippier who swings in the kick. And again, confident it was always going wide.
He'll be watching this a few times tonight, I would imagine. Guimaraes is the closest to him, and he just gets dragged in towards the ball and ends up doing nothing to give the goal scorer space, plenty of time on the penalty spot, which he uses brilliantly.
Guimaraes losing out to the man who came here from Vitoria, Guimaraes. Bruno feeling happier with life now, but concerned for Eddie Howe. In by Jota Silva. Here's Souza. And Jota Silva retains it. He manages to keep his balance. Anderson. Moreira. Here's Jota tussling with Joe Linton. Dominguez coming in on it. Chipped across by Anderson in the end.
Well, it's a cute effort. They've got the tails up, Forest, haven't they? You're waiting for a reaction from Newcastle. It should liven them up, that equaliser, but Forest playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. Pope a little worried for a second there.
Doesn't want his team to get too carried away. Hall. Away by Bolly. Anderson. This time, Barnes. Joe Linton reached out but couldn't hold on. And he just slipping in behind Dan Burn.
He's everywhere, isn't he?
Every indication that he'll be a crowd favourite. Nottingham Forest have got a double change about to happen here. Towards Kieran Trippier, and he might. Well, he does win the corner. Lewis Hall with the corner. And the goalkeeper spites a big advantage there.
That's more like it from the new boy. Doesn't like players standing in front of him.
Alex Isak just unsettling the goalkeeper. Here's Awani. Here's Anderson. By Dan Burn.
Well, they're keeping hold of this momentum, Forest. Really are.
Well, It's a double Forest change. It's Milenkovic who's coming on to take the place of Zach Abbott. He's less than an hour on his first start for the club. And it is the end of the evening for the man who really has brought the crowd to life, their goal scorer.
Yeah, might be playing against Wolves on Saturday, who knows?
So Jota Silva replaced by Sangare. Changes may not end there either. Newcastle have got a triple change up their sleeves. They're probably in more urgent need of it at the moment.
Well, neither manager will want extra time, so you would expect both teams to go for the winner.
So Miguel Almiron is coming off to be replaced by Anthony Gordon. Kieran Trippier is coming off, and Tino Livramento is taking his place. And the third player to come on is Sean Longstaff, and it's Sandro Tonali who's going to be the third player to come off.
Yeah, that's a good hour of football, isn't it, for him? A very nice return.
Well, he'll be relieved to have got that 60 minutes under his belt on the start of his mission to repay the trust that Eddie Howe's shown in him. So defensive work to do again here for Newcastle as Moreno flings it in, and it's cleared by Dan Burn. Moreno with a cross. Somebody knitting there.
Well, winter's coming.
At least you can knit and watch football at the same time. Hall. Here's Isak. Livramento. It's Gordon with a cross that isn't going to work for Alexander Isak. Fair play that you can rustle up a hat or a scarf or a muffler, whatever it is, while never taking your eyes off the football.
That is a skill. He's entranced by this match.
Well, the threat from Newcastle has receded, and considering the start they made to this match, that is a huge letdown for Eddie Howe.
Yeah, well, he'll be hoping the substitutions can turn the tide a touch.
Awani. Dominguez goes on ahead of him. Nicholas Dominguez, not too much trouble caused to Nick Pope with that shot. Here's Omar Bamadena. straight a little bit too far down that touchline. Very short in the end anyway to Omar Bamadeli. Oh, that was dangerous again. Moreira was coming in on the far side.
Yeah, he just needed to gamble, get inside his man at that far post. It's a lovely cross.
Newcastle really living on the edge at the moment. Here's Gordon. Now Sean Longstaff. Volley. The free kick is given for Lewis Hall's challenge on Eric da Silva and Moreira.
He's got the yellow card out, the ref. I think it's an honest enough challenge. He just misses the ball and catches the man.
Well, he has paid the price, Lewis Hall, with the yellow card. Even before this issue, Nottingham Forest had another couple of changes up their sleeves. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Nico Williams are both going to be sent on by Nuno. The game poised as it is, you have to have at the back of your mind, when it comes to substitutions, the thought that it might take penalties to separate these two. So Moreira makes way. And Ramon Sosa is the other player to come on.
Yeah, they've all done pretty well. Nuno just introducing more experience onto that pitch.
So another reshuffle. Done. There's Sangare. Straight into it is Nico Williams. Right across, Owani! Couldn't turn on it. Livramento was on him in a flash.
Great play by Williams, first contribution. They certainly looked the hungrier of the two sides, Forest. No doubt about that.
Eddie Howe urging his team up, but in the end, play is going to be brought back for another injury concern. Dominguez with a blow to the head.
Have much space to manoeuvre in. It's one of those you just try and touch it and swivel. Livramento clearing up the danger.
Here's Gordon. Anderson. Sangare to Bolly. Williams. Anderson. Dominguez. Oh, he couldn't free himself from Dan Burn. Is Livramento. All 4 up for Newcastle ahead of him. Gordon. Barnes for now, a switch to the right-hand side for Newcastle. They're trying to work it to this side. Livramento can see Barnes ahead of him.
Putting a beautiful cross for Gordon's goal at Bournemouth. Harvey Barnes, but it's been difficult for him to influence things out there tonight.
Moreno made it difficult for him there by pulling him back, and he gets a yellow card now. Here's Joe Linton. Barnes. Trying to close in on another Harvey Barnes cross. Couldn't get close to that one. Volley away up towards Awani. He's judged to have taken Dan Burn down, although he clearly feels it should have been in his favour. Newcastle, as is their way, take it quickly. Paul. Gordon. Lewis Hall never really got it cleanly enough. And Awani is only now back to his feet for Forest. We've just seen the first touch in the opposition box in this second half from Newcastle. Such has been limited effect. Longstaff's touch, it's all the way across to Harvey Barnes. It's a great block from Moreno.
Yeah, they're stepping it up now, Newcastle, aren't they? You can feel it, you can sense it. Their fans behind the goal certainly see it.
Ball's kick. Made by Awani. Here's Kraft. Burn. Gordon. Barnes is beaten off it by Moreno, setting up the break here for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Barnes has tracked him back all the way though to hold him up.
Oh, really good play by Barnes. His teammates will be thanking him for that. Didn't switch off.
Hudson-Odoi. Here's Omar Bamadeli. Livramento. Guimaraes. Having to retrieve it. Anthony Gordon. Wide by Longstaff. Pressure from Anderson on Bruno Guimaraes, forcing him back. 15 minutes plus stoppage time to go. No extra time these days in this competition. It would be straight to penalties unless it's resolved in this period of time that remains. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. It's got a free haul. Joelinton. Barnes free to the right and Longstaff picks him out. Livramento. Guimaraes.
Most of this play is in front of Forest. Rear guard getting down the sides, getting behind is not proving so easy.
Well, they're defending strongly and they're defending with great resolve here, Forest. Here's Barnes.
He's going to get a booking for that.
He's picking up the latest yellow card. Hall. Gordon. It's Lewis Hall. The ball's going wide.
He knew he had to let go of the shot quickly. As a result, he just skews it. It's Newcastle seeing much more of the ball now.
There's been a change of heart here from Nottingham Forest, who originally were set to bring on Chris Wood, but Elanga has literally been caught short, having to put his shorts on because of a change of heart by Nuno to send Wood back to the bench and bring Elanga on. And even the Newcastle fans are applauding Elliot Anderson, who he never scored for them in his time there, although he did have a goal controversially ruled out here a couple of years ago by VAR.
You don't see that very often these days.
So plenty of respect shown to the man who's gone off, and Anthony Elanga has been sent on with the intention of providing the missing ingredient for Forest that could win them the game and the tie. Here's Sangare, Elanga. Hudson-Odoi. Here's Moreno. Hudson-Odoi tricking his way past Harvey Barnes. It's a great throw from Pope. Tracking by Bolly on Gordon though as well. Guimaraes.
They've made a lot of changes to that defence, Nottingham Forest, but Been impressed with their resolve and organisation, whatever shape, whoever's in that.
Well, we could be heading to penalties here, and they are definitely heading to penalties between AFC Wimbledon and Ipswich. 2-2 after normal time, and you can see those penalties in the shootout live on Sky Sports Plus now. So Sky Sports Plus for the penalties between Wimbledon and Ipswich, and Eddie Howe hoping to avoid that scenario here, and with 9 minutes plus stoppage time in which to do that.
Yeah. It would be a bigger blow, I think, to Eddie Howe's Newcastle to go out at this stage. A bigger blow than it would be to Forest, whose main concern is staying in the top flight.
And Newcastle were knocked out on penalties in this competition last season at the quarter-final stage. Guimaraes. Bolly got a touch to it. Craft into the back of Taiwo Awani. Ball. Now Byrne. Guimaraes. Barnes has Moreno to try and shake off, and it's Omavamadeli who clears the danger for now at least.
Yeah, between them they did it. He's got some pace on him, Harvey Barnes.
Gordon with a corner. Byrne climbs!
Well, that would have gone down very nicely in the northeast. And this one ended up in the back of the net. Really times the jump and header to perfection.
Well, he did make himself a hero in that run to the final a couple of seasons ago. Dan Burn scored in the quarter-final win against Leicester. They need something special now to Newcastle. They've thrown away their early advantage, which has left them needing more, and Forest bidding to stop them to get that advantage themselves. The Forest have been retreating. Here's Gordon. It's Longstaff. Barnes. Livramento pulls it back. Barnes into the side netting.
That's a really good move between him and Livramento. They need something like that, sharp and quick passing to get round the back of this Forest defence.
Carabao Cup action in midweek. Premier League action returns on Saturday with our Saturday night football. West Ham against Manchester City from 5 o'clock. A big double bill on Sunday, kicking off with Newcastle at home to Tottenham. Earlier time of 12:30 for that. And coverage of Liverpool at Manchester United beginning from 3:30. Sky Sports Premier League. Here's Ilanga. Hudson-Odoi. Dominguez. Ilanga. It's Hudson-Odoi with a cross. Nico Williams trying to follow it in. It was an important header, a brave header behind by Lewis Hall.
Yeah, he knew exactly what was behind it. He knew he had to get a touch on this.
Forest fans at that Trent end sensing that this could be their moment. Hudson-Odoi. Clear view of it for Nick Pope.
Well, Newcastle have stepped it up. There's been more purpose and energy to the game. But you wouldn't say they've been able to test Carlos Miguel too many times at all.
Joelinton. It's Guimaraes. Gordon using the support offered by Hall. Bruno Guimaraes with a cross. Longstaff. Here's Livramento. Another card, this time to Sangare.
Seen a few yellow cards tonight, haven't we? That was clumsy on the Achilles, it's painful.
Swept in by Barnes. Positive clearance. Here's Guimaraes. Scores we're looking at now, the results from the matches that took place earlier. Wimbledon emerging against Premier League Ipswich on the penalty shootout. Here's Livramento. Now Hall. Gordon. This is Barnes. Livramento with a cross. It's Lewis Hall! And it's a tremendous save that time from Miguel. He didn't have the greatest of starts to this match, but he's atoned for it there.
Yeah, it looked like he needed all of his 6'8" frame here to keep this one out. It's a really good effort from Lewis Hall. And a top save.
Well, Newcastle haven't made anything of the corner. It's been drifted wide by Sean Longstaff. Stoppage time is approaching. 6 years ago yesterday there was a tie between these two. There were 3 goals in it in stoppage time, a Newcastle equaliser, and then Forest went on to win the game 3-1. It's looking nervous in the Newcastle dugout for sure.
Yeah, maybe Nuno will be a bit more relaxed if it does go to penalties.
Yeah, Forest have had a good record in penalty shootouts in recent times. Newcastle with that recent experience of losing one in this competition only last season. There are 5 added minutes here. Longstaff. Barnes. Can either team conclude this before the full-time whistle to avoid the nerve-shredding outcome of a penalty shootout? Ball through to Isak. It's Joelinton making room for himself, but it's straight down the throat of the Forest goalkeeper.
He's done well, Joelinton, to manufacture a little bit of space here. Gone right and then left.
Just a little bit winded.
It's been a hard-fought game. Plenty of challenges flying in.
Well, certainly from the look of the team sheet, it appeared that Newcastle were more set on reaching the third round. Forest almost completely changed their team, filled with newcomers, rookies to the club. But despite being gifted the best of starts, Newcastle find themselves hanging on here. Moreno, it's cleared by Alexander Isak. Tension being cranked up as Moreno was urged to move back to take this throw and to find the angle from which he can find a teammate in the box. Bolly and Omar Delia among those who are in there. It's cleared as far as Hudson-Odoi initially. Here's Milenkovic. Dominguez aware that he had Gordon closing him down. Byrne chasing back anyway, but with his arm raised. Williams giving chase. Byrne deciding he had to deal with it. Longstaff. Barnes. Now Joelinton. It's Gordon. And it's straight at the goalkeeper, who's relieved to collapse his frame onto it.
Decent effort. They have been able to test the keeper once or twice, haven't they, last 15, Newcastle. The thoughts will soon be turning to that test from 12 yards. Unless there's one more chance left in this game.
Well, only a minute of the indicated time in which to find that chance. Here's Byrne. Here's Hall. Kraft. Guimaraes. Here's Isak. Hall can't get it across. It's blocked by Willy Volley. Well, they've made a mess of that. Longstaff. Still Sean Longstaff. And couldn't get it across. It will be decided from 12 yards. Penalties will decide the outcome of this second round tie. Joe Willock's early goal giving Newcastle a leg up inside 18 seconds. But Jota Silva with a tremendous finish that shows he'll become a crowd favourite here at the start of the second half, taking us all the way after 90 minutes plus stoppage time. And now Eddie Howe and Nuno have to assess the players best placed to decide this particular tie from 12 yards. Penalties loom. Forest 1, Newcastle 1.
So they're going to spot kicks there. We've had one other tie this evening that has gone to penalties, and this was the winner. Isaac Ogundear for League 2 AFC Wimbledon, putting them through against Ipswich. The Wimbledon goalkeeper Owen Goodman, who's on loan from Crystal Palace, made a couple of saves in the shootout. That was some penalty to win it, Les, wasn't it?
It certainly was, as he stepped up. You know, the three before him had missed, and then he stepped up and thought, oh no. But great penalty, top corner, and fair play to AFC. They were in the lead for a long time, and then.
Well, we said that they were a goal down. They were 2-0 up. You said pre-match that they've had a good start in League 2.
Yeah, and they'll be buoyed by that, and obviously. From Ipswich's point of view, you're probably looking at this thinking this is the game where we get our season rolling and get a win. But like I said, these games are all about mentality.
Yes, a few League 2 sides are in the draw a little bit later on, and we'll do that draw for the third round at the conclusion of the game here between Nottingham Forest and Newcastle. You know, quite often when there aren't that many goals in a game, you can criticise the final ball or the final delivery, but actually the final ball and the delivery was good tonight. Nobody just got on the end of them.
Yeah, no, some fantastic balls into the box, some great set pieces. You see, in wide areas, I think both teams did very, very well. But I think both teams defended the box well as well. When you look at the balls that were delivered in, you look how many chances Tonali in the first half when he went 1v1 with Miguel. Great save, made himself big, should have probably dinked it over him. But by that, there wasn't too many clear-cut opportunities. The Awoniyi header, he'll be really disappointed. That ball in was absolutely top draw. If Les was on the back stick coming in there, as you said earlier, would have put everything in the back of the net.
I just think of the quality of wide players on show, really, and the different options that are available to actually both Nuno Espirito Santo and Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I know, and it's strange. The wide guys did well without really putting the ball from dead balls. The ball went in the box, but in free play, it was almost like they were trying to walk it in because the ball into the box weren't going to be attacked by Isaac from Newcastle's area on the other side. It weren't going to be attacked, so they tried to walk it in, and Forest had a great spell when they got the goal, and after that for about 15 minutes, and then Newcastle came back into it, and I really thought Newcastle were going to nick it at the end.
Yeah, the first sort of 20-30 minutes of that second half, Forest were on top, and then Anthony Gordon comes on, and then Newcastle get a little bit of their edge back.
They did, and I thought they composed the way that they had possession in and around the Nottingham Forest's box. There were patience. A few changes just makes a huge difference. That one opportunity from Awoniyi in the second half when he turned, great bit of defending from Livramento. He tucked himself in. If he didn't there, he's turning his swivels on it, but time will tell, see who goes through.
Absolutely, looks like they are ready to go. So let's go back to Alan Smith and Rob Hawthorne.
Well, if the toss is anything to go by, then Nottingham Forest will prevail because they've wanted to have it take place at the end where their supporters are, the Trent end of this ground. And this is a moment for the new Forest goalkeeper to make a big impression. He said that when he joined the club, he was aware of their history, and his aim was to secure himself a place in the museum. Perhaps he can tonight.
We talk about goalkeepers filling the goal. He gets pretty close at 6'8".
Well, Sam Allison, the referee, just talking the goalkeepers through the procedures. No mind games, no stepping off the line, no trying to unsettle the taker. Let's see if that holds out.
Yeah, we don't know too much about Carlos Miguel, so how he will react in this situation. Nick Pope isn't really out of the Martinez school of goalkeeping at penalties for Aston Villa, and Argentina goalkeeper.
Well, it's at the Forest end, and Forest have the first kick. And the first player to put himself forward is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Forest haven't lost a penalty shootout since November 2006. Well, you always want to get off to a good start. Callum Hudson-Odoi can do that for Nottingham Forest. And he does!
Well, if you've got the confidence to lift it like he did, it's very difficult for a keeper, even if you gamble the right way, as Nick Pope did.
Well, Alexander Isak is next to step forward, facing a 6'8" goalkeeper and some fairly unfriendly faces behind him. Eddie Howe knows that much will hinge on the mentality of his players. Goalkeeper tall enough to almost reach the crossbar without jumping. Isak against Miguel, and it's 1-1.
He's not the sort to get flustered, is he? Cool customer.
Nikola Milenkovic, who came on as a substitute in the second half. This, his first home appearance for Nottingham Forest, his first appearance, of course, in this competition as well. But he becomes another early taker as Forest look to stay ahead of their opponents. Milenkovic rolls it in. Made it look easy,
Didn't he? Not bad for a centre-half, that. New teammates are impressed.
Next comes Joe Linton, who some might argue shouldn't even be playing in this game after he escaped the red card for his actions at Bournemouth at the weekend in pulling back on a goalkeeper. Now has to face another member of that club, a new member in terms of football in England. No one wants to be the first to slip up. Joe Linton, oh, saved! The goalkeeper using his full frame to deny Joe Linton, and Newcastle blink first.
Well, when this bloke guesses the right way, there's every chance given his height. But even so, that's a wonderful stop. I mean, Joe Linton, he put his boot through it, there was some power in it.
And now it's up to Nico Williams, another substitute, to try and drive home this advantage that Forest have established. And he does! Right in the corner. Nuno staying cool. The margin for error is diminishing now for Newcastle United after Joe Linton's miss.
Keeps looking inside that towel. Has he got a few instructions?
So Newcastle's new team captain, Bruno Guimaraes, bearing the weight of responsibility. Guimaraes just about avoids the goalkeeper, and now tries to rally his own supporters at the opposite end of this stadium.
Team talk for the keeper. I mean, he hit that well. But even then, Miguel nearly saved it.
Forward steps Ibrahim Sangare with some barely able to watch. Because having squeezed ahead with this advantage, the last thing that Forest want is to slip up now. Sangare, oh! The advantage is thrown away, and Bruno Guimaraes led the celebrations of that miss, because suddenly it might all have slipped away from Nottingham Forest.
It had the look of somebody that maybe just changed his mind, that wasn't entirely sure what he wanted to do with this.
Agonising for Forest players and staff, but especially for Sangare. Another check on the towel. All very well, Newcastle being given that break with the Sangare miss, but it will mean nothing if Anthony Gordon does not convert this. Can he get Newcastle back level in the shootout? Gordon does! It's 3-3.
Top quality. A lot riding on that.
And we are, to all intents and purposes, into sudden death now. Taiwo Awoniyi knows what that means as he takes the long walk forward to face up to Nick Pope. We really are in the must-not-miss territory now. And Pope steps to the edge of his 6-yard box. Has a word or two to say to Taiwo Awoniyi as prayers are offered up by the home fans. Awoniyi, oh, it's another miss! And it's an horrendous miss as well. And Newcastle are in the box seat now, because if they can convert this, they are through to the third round.
Yeah, it's a shocker. He knows that. Pressure got to him. He's not just missed, he's missed by a mile. He's had a good game too.
And the player who could clinch this for the visitors is a player with Newcastle United in his blood. It is all down to Sean Longstaff. Job done! Newcastle have made it to the third round. It's been a long night, it's been a difficult night. It started well, but then in the penalty shootout there were doubts until those successive misses from Sangare and Awoniyi. And when Gordon and Longstaff needed to keep their cool, they did just that. And it is Newcastle who emerge as victors.
Yeah.
Sky Sports Football. Feel it all.